Okay, so we're on. It's May 15th. I think it's our 41st Zoom call. A reminder that our sponsors are Chipping Away out of London and the Ontario Woodcarvers Association. So you can access Chipping Away store. They're a mail order store as well, and you can get them at chippingaway.com. And Ontario Woodcarvers Association has a website, ontariowoodcarvers.ca. So you visit the Ontario Woodcarvers there.
We get a discount from them, right? Everybody gets a discount.
Chipping Away, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we do. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
ask for the
So
discount.
that's right. Sorry, I got to come out of this. Now that I'm co-hosting to admit people, I got to come out of this. I hope you can still see that okay, though?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll have our normal discussion, a little bit of a welcome. We'll open for questions and comments to start things off. Mike Southon has sent us some really nice slides for the All About Us section. Mike, the only thing I can promise you is I screwed up the sequence of photos, I'm sure, so you'll just have to wing it. We'll talk a little bit about upcoming shows. John Paul is going to spend a little bit of time demonstrating carving eyes, at least one method of carving eyes. And he sent a couple slides on that. It looks really good. So we'll let John Paul do that and appreciate it. Number of people have sent in some photos of what's on the bench. And so we'll go through that. And then separately, I've sectioned off some photos that have been sent in that are related to the TNCC challenges that we've done over the last little while, anyway, the recent while. The bat, the hoodie guy, the pencil, and the caricature fish. This caricature fish thing, we'll go through that. I think Bob Thompson kind of caught our eye on that by doing a caricature fish, and it really looks smart. And some others have sent in caricature fish carvings now, and they're hilarious. And so what John Paul and I would like to do is have a competition. So for our June event, we're going to have a caricature fish competition, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then we can finish up with if anybody has anything on tips and tricks and techniques and that kind of thing. Okay, so I'm just going to get out of share, I think. Stop share right there. And I'm trying to stop share. Having any success. Okay, Murray, I'm having trouble.
Oh.
Well, I'm going to go back to sharing, I guess, if I can.
We're about 19 people now. There's a few more coming probably. I'll just watch for that.
Yeah, for some reason, I've lost the screen here. Let's see what happens. It says screen sharing has failed. So I'm in trouble. Let's try one more time. I think I'm gonna have to come out and go back in again.
Yeah, do that. We'll watch for here.
Oh, wait. Maybe this will work. Let's see if this works. That maybe. It's funny, I can't get the screen share anymore. Okay, maybe it'll work. Okay, so anyways, what I wanted to do, well, 5 minutes ago, was just open it up then for any questions or comments, and just open it up for you guys to participate in that, and then we'll try to go back to screen sharing after that. None? Well, that was a lot of work for me, guys, to hear nothing from you. So now I got to go all the way back. Now I got to go all the way back to screen share. Let's see if this works. You know what? This just isn't working, is it? Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a couple of things that I thought we'd talk about around this front end, the comments and questions. So last time you'll recall, we talked about sharpening and grits and that type of thing. Kevin had sent in this grit chart from Lee Valley. And Jacques followed up with an email to me showing me that, in fact, you can go to the Lee Valley website, leevalley.com, and just in their search engines, search under grit chart, and you get the full 9 yards. So there's about 6 more charts like this, and it's really well done. So
Nice, nice.
yeah, so go to leevalley.com, and when you're in their catalog store there, just go to the search engine and look up grit chart, and that is information that is really helpful. The other thing that was really helpful, and we showed last time, but I think Jacques, you're on the line tonight, aren't you?
Yes. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, so Jacques showed me this the other day, and we just kind of briefly reviewed it because we were talking about sharpening the last Zoom call. So why don't you just say a few more words about what you found here, Jacques?
Yeah. But this idea came from a YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTuber that do wood carving, and one of them was showing how he used a little miniature pottery wheel, this little pottery wheel, which he modified to make it into a sharpener. And I was always having trouble with my sharpener. I have a very fancy sharpener, but I find it spins too fast. And I have to be very careful so I don't burn the tools and I don't take out too much material. And I was looking into a variable speed motor to upgrade my sharpener, but it's very expensive. But I found for $30, I could buy this one. And it has variable speed from 0 RPM all the way to, I believe, 2000 RPM. And
Wow.
it goes left or right or counterclockwise or clockwise. So you could sharpen both sides of the knife by just flicking the switch. You see the switch 3-position off in the middle and then left turning or right turning. And it's a pottery wheel. It's a very small motor. So if you put too much pressure, it stops, but doesn't hurt the motor, but it just stops spinning. But for sharpening, I don't apply too much pressure and it never stops on me. And the guy on YouTube was showing that with Velcro, he makes, and that's what I'm showing there with my pencil. I lifted it's a sandpaper, like fine grit sandpaper. You could go up to 10,000 in the grit chart. So you could get any size of sandpaper you put on, or you could get leather pads. And what you see there in the middle, the green circle, I use a sheet of MDF. And I buy these Velcro pads, a 4-inch Velcro pad that fits the platter. And I glue the Velcro on the platter that came with the thing, and I glue the opposite gender Velcro on my piece of MDF or on the felt pad there. And I buy sandpaper that comes with Velcro. So very cheap solution. And I like the fact that it spins clockwise, counterclockwise, and variable speed. Is my tools better? I think not yet. I still have to learn how to do better sharpening. And it's mainly gouges and V tools I have trouble with. And
Yeah,
I think
if you're using that up to like 1,000 and beyond grit, and you can just hone it after that on your strop, you should have a real nice knife. I really like this as you described it to me, Jacques, that you have variable speed, so you can go a lot slower than the one that I use, which is really helpful.
yes, and that, like I said, it's what I was looking for with mine. I have the VL, the belts sharpening tool they have used by professionals, but I find it spins so fast that I've damaged knife. At the beginning, I damaged knives, so now I'm very careful.
Yeah.
But I still find it's too fast, and often I take too much material.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for that, Jacques. So if anybody's interested in this, Jacques sent me a whole bunch of stuff on this unit. So if you're interested, just send me an email and I'll forward that additional information to you. Okay. So it's all the specs and where you can find it on Amazon and that type of thing. So thanks for that, Jacques.
Thanks, Jock. I ordered one.
Oh, you did?
Good. Good.
And there's this. This is you can get at Home Canadian Tire, and it sticks on here.
Oh, I didn't know I could buy it in town. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yours is blue.
Well, because yours is discontinued.
True. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Very good.
And does it work for you?
I haven't tried it yet. I was waiting to find out what else you did. So
Okay.
yeah,
That's great.
thank you.
Thanks, Jacques. This is just a picture of something that I made up the other day, and I'm just showing it to you because I'm using it to provide instruction to people here in Kingston, but I'm also using it for the online workshops that we're having now around what we introduced a couple of Zoom calls ago. So this is just a 3/4 inch PVC, just a little assembly that I made, and that's a camera hanging in the middle. So you can use that as a remote camera, hook it up to your computer, and then toggle between, the camera on your computer, taking a picture of your face or video of your face, to this computer, or to this camera rather, that is pointing down at your hands, so you can see your hands carving. Really works well. So I wanted to show that to you in case that's something that you're interested in doing in your club or in your area. And I also wanted it there just to prompt me to mention again that we still want to do these online workshops. I think Pam and Jacques and I are going to meet next Friday morning to do a little bit of a painting workshop. And I think Janice and Scott are interested in doing a carving of the Christmas ornament, in particular how to do eyes and those kinds of things. And so we're going to set up, I'm going to try to set up a meeting with them next week or the following week. So I say that only because if you are also interested in joining that Zoom call, just send me an email and I'll send that those Zoom coordinates to you. Okay?
So is there room for others to join the painting one?
Absolutely is, yeah. So just send me an email, just confirming, that you want to join, and I'll send you the coordinates for that. Okay?
Perfect.
Good, thanks. The last picture I put here, just under comments and questions, we talked about painting a little bit, and one of the things we talked about was antiquing. And lo and behold, I came across this carving. I wish I could give credit to the carver and the painter. I don't know who it is. It's just an Instagram snapshot that I took. But this certainly looks like a carving that somebody's painted and then used the black or dark brown antiquing over it. So just to be clear, what we talked about last time was painting your carving with acrylics, sealing it with a hard urethane, and then once that's dry, putting this antiquing over it and then rubbing off the antiquing. The antiquing then would lie in all the valleys. I had never really heard about that other than what I had done maybe 40 years ago with ceramics. But I thought this was an interesting picture, and I've never seen a carving done that way. I think it looks kind of interesting.
Mhm.
It looks a little dark, but it looks kind of interesting. So I thought I'd show that to you. So that was just kind of to support what we were talking about, using antiquing as one method of painting. Okay, folks, any questions on anything you saw there? Comments? Okay, Mike Southon is up next, and Mike, I'm sure I've got the photographs in the wrong order, but let's give it a try.
Okay, good. Thanks. Hi, folks. Mark, if you could go 9, 10, 8.
Okay, 9 first.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Sort of appreciate this. You're kind of going to go down a memory lane of carving for me. And by sheer luck, I happen to have the first carving I ever did in high school, about grade 12, 11 or so. That would be 1963 or so. I was in love with African art then during my art classes. And so I did this sort of shameless copy of one I probably saw in a National Geographic or something. I brought a piece of 2x10, just whatever wood that happened to be. And the teacher happened to have some carving tools. So he loaned them to me. And so I came up with this thing. And so I still have that guy. And so it's sort of a beginning for me. And then, of course, life intervenes and, you go through high school and go to get into university and finally got married and so on. And we were building a cottage. And so it was about 1975-ish or so. And we were admiring these decoys that people had to decorate their cottages. And I said, "Oh, geez, let's take a look at those." And my wife, we looked at them, and they were pretty expensive to buy. So she said, "Oh, you could probably do one." I said, "Oh, I don't know." Anyway, so I got a belt sander and a chunk of cedar and that duck on the left side. I did about 1975 or so. And as you can see, pretty crude. I guess you would call it stylized, perhaps. I don't know. But anyway, still have that guy with a garish, glossy finish made of white cedar. Yeah, okay, next one. But that really got me into loving sort of natural finish birds. So I got that Spielman book, and these are some of the birds out of that book, and really kind of fell in love with this kind of thing, and did more and more carving. Um, the goose started to attract some attention actually, and so I started selling them. And people kept saying, "I want one of those," and I said, "Well, gee, that's going to take me 4 months to make it," sort of thing. And those are in various woods, mostly. The one on the left, that loon, is butternut, and then the other two, I think, are in pine. Next one.
So, are those stains, Mike, or were you painting?
Yeah, they're those are all stained, and then with a varathane, still a little too glossy. If I was doing them today, this is these are earlier pieces, but it does bring out the color very well. But yeah, it's all like, for example, the back center of the mallard is early American maple stain, and then there's walnuts and and various other shades. Occasionally, like the green of the mallard head, that is just acrylic. I couldn't get a good green stain that I liked enough. So I still make birds like this. I sort of still love letting the wood shine through.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to
those are beautiful carvings.
oh, thanks. Well, it's just the wood is doing half the work, right? Anyway, these two shots, of course, very, very different subjects. Obviously, love of caricature carving came along, and I liked all the little wood spirit guys and gnomes and all that stuff from for many years now. And this one, I designed this guy. Our club was doing some from carvings like leaning loons and that type of thing, mice that look over the edge of the desk and so on. So I thought I'd do this one as a homage to the lumberjacks in our area. I call this one Hangover. So that's what that one is, a little scene I did there. And then the other thing, I started taking classes. There was a local carver, Les Barrow. He's been sort of the mentor of many of us here in the north. And he actually had a carving shop where he sold excellent equipment, as well as taught courses. And so small birds, or actually more detailed ducks, and so on, were done. And this is just one example of a chickadee with some help from another instructor. So after spending a fair amount of time, reading books and following patterns out of books and so on, and I have my background is teaching. And so after a while, Les asked me to start teaching for him because he couldn't handle the workload, as it were. There was just too much demand for his courses. So I started teaching courses, and I know I've got probably 30 to 40 courses I've taught in a wide variety of subjects. So anyway, next one.
Very nice.
I always love seasonal carving. And our club does a lot of shows, and we've done a fair number of fall fairs. So I was asked to be a feature carver for a pumpkin carving at a pumpkin farm. And they said, well, bring one along if you would. So I thought, well, this one might be fun. So I thought, well, how big could I manage? And luckily, someone gave me a bunch of beautiful, beautiful, huge mallet tools.
Not.
Sorry, what? I heard somebody there asking a question, maybe.
Somebody, I think, was just not on mute. That's all.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Somebody should be on mute. Yeah. So anyway, I thought, well, if I'm going to go carve pumpkins at the fair, I better have one to show. So it says Happy Halloween on the lettering at the top, and this is so heavy I could barely lift it. So that was a fun carve, and I do a whack of seasonal carvings.
I've often wondered about those pumpkin carvings and how many people go right through the shell while they're carving it.
Well, yeah, you get the blessing if you have a really big pumpkin like this. It's pretty thick.
Yeah.
So you're right, it's tricky,
Yeah.
and you really don't want to go through, because if you're doing these, what the books call them extreme pumpkin carvings, and the deal is don't go through.
Yeah.
And if you do, like even say there's two little beady eyes, if you went right through all the way, when it's lit up at night, it kind of overpowers the details. If you have any light directly showing through.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I learned. You just want to get that outer skin off, and and it was a lot of fun to do
Yeah.
those. And I do them almost every year. Now this jumping around a bit. We have a CW Parker carousel, which is one of 3 left in the world in Thunder Bay, and we have a team with the club has been doing a restoration, and I think I shared some of that with you before.
Yeah,
But
you did, yeah.
they had to hire a company to do the horses, and so I was really kind of missing the horses. So I suggested to the club that we do miniature exact replicas of the horses. So these are 2 that are on our carousel, but they're miniatures. So they're only about 10.5 inches long, and whatever 8 inches high or so. And these are just 2 that I made to go with that. Next. But the project we really had was to do all of the carvings that had to be replaced on the carousel, which was all the rounding boards. And so the club worked for about 5 years on this, and we were given carte blanche on doing brand new chariots. So
this is no internet.
it was that there was no image of what the original chariots looked like, whereas everything else we replaced had to be exact historical replicas. So, for example, there were rounding boards at the top that had 16 acanthus mirrors, and I brought an original home with me so I could copy.
Oh yeah.
But in this case, we were allowed to do the design.
Yeah, just let me interject, Mike.
Sorry.
I don't know who's speaking
don't
right
have-
now, but everybody has to turn their microphone off, okay? Because as soon as you start speaking, everything goes to you and it blurts out what Mike is trying to say here. So just make sure you mute your mic out. Thanks.
So this is one of 2 chariots. You see the other one on the side, which is a wheelchair accessible chariot. And like I carve the acanthus and a drop that's to the left, just beside me there, and that large cornucopia. And then others in my club carved the dragon and a lot of the floral details and so on. And so that was a lot of fun. So we designed that in one of our Carvers garages, and that took us about 1.5 years to make those 2. And of course, by now they're all beautifully painted and everything. But that was a wonderful project to do something as a legacy. When I'm long gone, that thing will still be spinning around and with the kids enjoying it.
Nice.
Next. Now, these are also two carvings just to show you. Again, with seasonal carvings, I have a diorama thing they call Paint Shop Pandemonium. And this is Santa Claus walking in that I designed as a caricature, and he's walking into his paint shop, and there's a disaster happening with a couple of the elves fighting. I just show you the Santa coming through. And that's an example of where I tried to break away from always using patterns, although I still do that sometimes, and try to go more advanced. On this one, you'll notice something that I've since learned from Caricature Carvers. His hat's too high. You see that? And you taught me about getting that hat down on the head better. And there's where I had done this prior to those lessons. The old Port Arthur one really is a mirror of the one I'm working on right now. So I did this one some years ago, and I decided to do a architectural cottonwood bark, kind of an architectural collage, as it were, of some of the key historic buildings in this side of town, which is the Port Arthur side of Thunder Bay. And the other city that joined together to make Thunder Bay is Fort William. And that's the carving we're working on right now. So I just take photographs of various historic buildings that still exist and do the pieces of them that I think are the most interesting. This one has a tourist pagoda at the bottom, a 1900s CN station, fire hall, and various other part of the school and so on that one. Next.
Very nice.
Our club does a lot of outreach to the public, and there are a lot of shows. We do 2 fall fairs every year, as well as others on occasion. And then we do other shows at malls and so on. And this just happens to be one I just did recently at the Fort Reproduct. We have a reproduced Hudson Bay Company fort, well, it was Northwest Company when they sort of show it as being 1815. Anyway, the club comes and we put on carving demonstrations. And I was telling you before, I'm holding a relief I did there. They pay us to actually do that, which is
Nice.
a nice change. Because a lot of the other places, you go do a show and you got to pay to get in, kind of thing. Anyway, next. Okay, yeah, we're jumping all over the place. So just recently, I wrote a children's book called Barely There, and that's actually the cover of the book, and it's ready for publication. And then I have a companion book called Carving the Animals of Barely There. So it's 6 animals or so in there. I don't know if one of the slides is showing some of the animals, I think. Yeah, these are some of the patterns of the other animals. So they're all original. And these are the characters in my story. And so I'm hoping to have these available. There they go. These are the animals. You'll notice there's Barely when he's skinny and Barely when he's fat. And then some of the other animals that I have in my story. And anyway, I hope to have this all available. And we had talked a little bit, Mark and I, about maybe doing a tutorial on carving perhaps the bat there, which we might do on one of the future Zooms. Anyway, hoping that all of these publications will be available fairly soon. It could end up being on Amazon, I'm not sure. I'm still at that stage. So I've just got it finally ready into digital form pretty much. And I got to get it ready to be sent to a publisher. So anyway, so I'm hoping to be able to announce in the future. All right, another thing I do, when I go on trips, sometimes I think, well, I could go into a store, a souvenir shop, and buy a souvenir, or I could carve one. And so when we were in Hawaii, see, it says Maui on the bottom of that tiki god I've got there. I was looking at them and I thought, oh, I just sort of made up my own version of them. And while I was in Hawaii, I carved that guy and brought it home. So then I got my own, and on the back it has the date of when we were there. The other one is a more recent one. Obviously, it's a cottonwood bark of a carving of a alligator. We go to Florida every winter, and there's some of these in the pond right beside where we rent. So, anyway, so I thought, oh well, I just do a simple little thing. I just take a few tools with me, and and make my own souvenirs.
Nice.
Next. I might have shared this too before, but this is my biggest bird carving ever. Again, in that, let the wood shine through kind of a style. So life-size blue heron out at the lake, carved the base as well out of an old piece of pine I had, and these are steel legs and so on. So that was a lot of fun. That took about a year to make. So it was a good experience. Next. Maybe it's
I think
over.
that's it, Mike.
That's it. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as I say, the very last thing I've done is that companion to the old Port Arthur one, and I will probably approach the museum and see if they'd like to have it as something as sort of like a little mystery for people, so if they can identify what are these buildings that are being represented. So I'll probably to do that. Anyway, it's been a wonderful, wonderful journey, and I will do this till the day I die. I just love carving, and hope you've enjoyed seeing my little journey.
Thanks, Mike.
Very, very impressive. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, that should inspire a few more carvings. Good job. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Ed. Good.
Okay, upcoming shows still on our list is the Owl's Nest Wood Carving Show, June 6th to 8th in Waterloo, and that's at the Manulife Financial Sportsplex. And again, a really good show if you're in the area or feel like a bit of a long weekend, or even just one of those days. Show up there; you'll really be glad that you did. Beautiful bird carvings, wildfowl, and general carvings. They're all just gorgeous. So if you can make it, that's a great show to go to. The only other shows that I know of are coming up in the fall. So I'm thinking Bobcaygeon in September, and I think Niagara Falls is still in kind of the November-ish time period. And I suspect there'll be another Ancaster wood show in the fall period as well. I'm not sure about the month of that right yet. Okay, anything else to add to that? Anybody else know of any shows coming up that I'm not thinking of?
They've already sent out an email for the Toronto show, the Hamilton show, and the Toronto show.
Okay, when are those? Do you know?
November and I believe January.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So that sounds like we'll have a couple in November, because I think Niagara is in November as well. So that'll be nice. Okay, thanks for that. Okay, carving eyes. John Paul, you ready to rock and roll on that?
Yes, yes, I am.
Okay.
All right, this is how I set up the eye, like on this style eye. On the carving on the Santa, I notch in where the eyes are, and I pencil in. It's like a half moon. It's like a flat surface there, so it's like a half moon. I pencil in on both sides, get it all, and then underneath that eye or the line, the cut line, is where the bag is going to be. So on the right hand side, the picture on the right is what I do is I cut the half moon out and relieve,
Yeah, okay.
relieve those two corners first.
Yeah, I'm going to
And,
show you the same thing on the next charts, John. You'll get a better view of each of the eyes.
oh, okay, okay.
But I think what I heard you say is this line here
Yeah,
is represented by
right
that
there.
line,
Right.
and then this bag here
Is underneath.
is this here pencil line.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so maybe this one's a little easier to talk to now.
Yeah, it's a little bit bigger now so we can see it. So, yeah, so then I just notch out each corner of the eye. You want to show that?
So these corners you're talking about?
Yeah, on the next picture. Yep, those two go out first. Then I go inside that and go all the way around and make it into a half ball of a eyeball, I guess we would say. And then I put the top eyelid on the next.
Yeah, so maybe on this one, John, just to be clear, so you do a plunge cut all the way around here,
Right.
and then you
Corners.
you don't fool around with the center. You just clear away the stuff around here, so you end up with a bit of a sphere there.
Right, right.
It's a bit of an eyeball. Okay.
Yeah.
And how about this piece? It looks like you made a plunge cut there too at this point.
Yeah, that's going to be the bag. That's just
Okay.
the starting of the bag.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and then on the next picture, you put the eye lid on the top.
Okay.
Same thing. I make a cut around the top, shape the eye lid, and then I continue. And then I shape the bag a little bit.
Okay. So are you shaping, like, is this rounded, John?
Yeah, yeah,
Rounded like that. Okay, gotcha.
yeah, and just cleaned all out and everything, and I go back at two, and I start rounding off that eyeball a little bit more too. I emphasize that eyeball because once I got the eyelid in there, I can see it. So I start really shaping that eyeball.
Yeah. Maybe if I can add to that, John, one of the things when I talk to people about eyes, like you're rounding it in this direction,
Yeah,
but you're also rounding it in this direction, right?
right, right.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I round off the bag of the eye at the bottom. Yeah, and smooth that all out. And where that notch is on where the nose would be, that's just where the nose would be right there. Yeah. And then I paint it, and that's it. And that's one style of eye that I do.
Right. And how do you paint it, John? It's really, really a nice iris there. How do you paint that?
Okay, I was going to do it another time, but you can paint any color like green, brown, whatever. But I paint the eyeball itself a light blue. On this one, it's a light blue first, and at the very top, and halfway around the top and the eyeball, I have a darker blue around the very top. You see it shaded.
Right here around the edge, you mean?
Yeah, no, but on the top. Yeah, the top.
Oh, right on top here?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, it's a little darker blue.
Okay. Yep.
Then I put the pupil in, round pupil, and then I put a reflective dot on the top and a slight one on the bottom. Yeah.
That really turns out nice.
Yeah, and
Sorry,
then
say that again. Sorry, you put two dots? Sorry.
I put a little dot on the very bottom. It's more of a reflective, I guess, but it's a really tiny dot. It's not very big, but it's a bigger dot on the very top.
So this one's
bigger.
This one's kind of whiter almost, and this one's lighter, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It has a nice effect.
What do you do with regards to, or how do you decide where it's looking? Like, if I were to put something like that together, being a non-artist, I don't want it to look cross-eyed or look like one is looking one way and one's looking the other way.
Right.
Is there some like basic measurement or something, or like how you would decide to put the eyeball together or the iris together and where it's going to be? Obviously, if you put it right close to the nose, he's looking cross-eyed. But do you put it right in the middle?
Right in
Thank
the
you.
middle to look straight ahead. But if I wanted this eyeball to go to the right, like looking right, I just put that round circle, and probably that round circle wouldn't be as round. It would be more tucked under the eye, looking if you went right or left. And then I would do the same process. See if it's light or blue, green, whatever brown, and a little darker brown or white or blue on top to get that shadow, the shadow of the eyelid on top. And then I put the iris, and then I put the dots,
Okay,
the
great.
highlights.
So a couple of things, John, I'm thinking here.
Yeah.
One of the things that might be helpful is that if you wanted the eyes looking off to like our right, this guy's left, okay?
Yeah.
One way to do it is to start with the black, just a black dot on each eye. And then just having those initial black dots, you can modify. If one black dot makes it look like he's a little cross-eyed or something, you make that black dot a little larger in the opposite direction until you end up with the pupils looking together in the same direction, and then you add the iris in. So that's one way to do that. And as I put my glasses on and look closer at this, I now understand what you meant by that darker blue here. I didn't see that before.
Yeah.
So you, on top of the iris, well, first you made an iris with a light blue center, sort of.
Right.
And then-
The whole circle was a light blue
okay, and then you made a little darker line around the iris.
on the top.
Well, I can see this here down here looks a little bit darker blue too, though. No?
No, not really. Well, maybe because it was wet, but
Oh, I thought maybe this was a light blue and then this was just a slightly darker tone blue here.
just at the top. Just at
Just
the
at the
top.
top. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
What
Yeah, I
do you
think-
use to make your white, sorry, what do you use to make your white dots there?
Just
John
white
Ball?
paint. I just my tip of my
Is
brush.
it like a toothpick, or what do you use as the applicator?
I just use the tip of my brush. The tip of the brush for me.
It's a small brush, yeah.
Yeah.
Must have a super fine brush then. Wow. I
Yeah.
use the head of a toothpick, but that's amazing.
Yeah, you could do it. You could do that way too. Yeah, whatever. The tip of the paintbrush, but I just have a small, fine tip brushes.
Turns out nice.
Yeah, turns out fun.
Okay, anything else for John? Any questions or comments?
Any
for
more
John?
questions? That's just one style that I do. There's many styles, but we can do another style next time, whatever.
Yeah.
You ever use pencils?
No, I haven't. I've never. No. You could, yeah.
What do you think of pencils for the pupil?
Those are acrylic pencil. Where
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah, you could do that.
What about wood burning? How would that go?
I've never tried it, but you got to be very light, because you could, like, these eyes are pretty small, so you can make a mark on your eyeball itself pretty quick and deep. So you have to be really careful and light burn, I guess.
Gotcha.
I'll set for my other class. I do a step by step. I'll do the light blue, and I'll do a 4 or 5 step, and then I'll send it to everybody for maybe next class. I'll have it all ready for
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah, bring it to next class, then you won't have to send it on an email. That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good.
Thanks. Thanks, John.
John Paul, I had a question.
Yeah.
Have you got anything on video? Do you have anything on YouTube we could follow along with, or?
I'll do one next week. The next month, then I'll do one. It's pretty simple. I'll do
Excellent.
a
Yeah,
step by step.
it looks really good. It was a good explanation, but I'll probably forget what I had for breakfast yesterday or something.
Yeah, so Fred, this will be on YouTube. Murray will put this up on YouTube, but I think John, that would be a good idea if you actually did one live, and
Yeah, yeah.
maybe follow it up with the painting. That'd be really good.
Okay, let's do that next month then.
That'd be terrific. Okay, thanks, John Pia.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome.
Okay, let's go to what's on the bench. We got a few things. Now, Larry, we took a look at this last time, but you weren't here. So why don't you just say a few words about this one now?
Hi there. Yeah, Creation Station was my outside workshop, and Mildred Mug is my daughter's little business that's kind of herbal business. But the cow was the first time I've ever done glass eyes on a carving in my life. I know people do it in birds, so I painted the back of the eyes in a brown. But like you were saying, Mark, with the epoxies and everything else, putting the head onto the body, putting the horns onto the head, putting like it was all kind. I'm usually every time I carve it's one piece. So this was a whole conglomeration of pieces, and it was a consignment carving for a gentleman who wanted for his wife out in Alberta, and she just absolutely loved it when it's finished. And it's on a piece of vache on the stand. But it's also it's kind of funny. You look at it and you think, oh, that's really nice, but cows do not lay that way. Cows' hooves are underneath them; they're lay on the side. But this is a picture he'd sent me, so I wanted to do it as what he was sent me. But it's like more the research I did on this was phenomenal as a project. But in the long run, anyway, it came out cool. But sometimes if you don't want to paint eyes, there's also those glass eyes that everybody uses on birds.
Turned out well. That turned out well, Larry. Any questions for Larry?
I like the detail on that cow. That was a really nice detail.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. It's one of those ones, like when I do my bodies and things like that, it's the neatest thing because if you can't see it, you can't carve it. That's how I see it. So I had to do, I printed 30 pages of cows out until I had it in my head, a cow curved on the side, the horns, the little fluff on the head. But it's kind of neat because it makes you a better carver. But thank you. It was a project and a half for me to believe it or not.
You really know cows now. That's good. Craig, are you on the Zoom call tonight?
Yes, the only way I could get here was on my phone, so I'm here.
Okay, so if you can see this, this is the little Viking.
Yep.
You want to say a few words about that?
This was a class I took from Dale Green, and he taught us how to do braids, and that's my first endeavor of a braid. And I've done Vikings before, but I did a little bit different than what he did, but basically it came out okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a little Scandinavian gnome I got out of Wood Carvers Illustrated back in 2020 from Elliot, actually, who was online. He gave me the pattern for it. And I just finished it a day or two ago. I don't know what kind of bird it is, but it's a bird anyway.
He's holding some kind of bird.
And this is my first trial attempt at doing a plaid shirt on a cowboy. It's not totally plaid because I don't have enough colors, but it was getting too small. I wanted the blue to stand out to silhouette with his pants, so I didn't do all the different colors for a normal plaid. But this is my first trial of doing plaid. With a paintbrush.
Turned out well.
Wayne Smith would be proud of you.
You sure would.
This also was a class from Dale Green's class.
Good. Okay, any comments or questions for Craig? Thanks, Craig.
No problem.
Scott, you're on the line tonight, I think.
Yep, just trying to get myself unmuted here.
Yeah. So you got a nice
So
little.
these are just a couple of little 1-by-1 carvings that I did. The gnome on the left, I carved it and then showed it to a friend of mine, and he'd mentioned it to his wife, and she said how much she enjoyed gnomes, and her daughter was quite enamored of the gnomes. And then when I saw her a couple of days later, she mentioned it, and I said, well, you can have it. This is, I'll just paint it. And she said, no, I'll just cut it off at the feet and paint it, because that was just a square block from the 1x1 that I was using to hold the thing. And she says, no, I like him standing on that little stool. And she said, you know what would really make it look cute is if you made that into a stump. So that's what I did. I painted that, carved it round, and carved in the some of the knot holes and stuff like that, and then painted the stump. It took me about 3 or 4 hours just to paint that part, because as I would paint along, I would see where some of the highlights were starting to show up. And so I would reinforce them with shadow painted in on either side of it. And just doing the edge along here, it stained up into the wood enough that when I painted the surface of the wood, it's all blended out there, but you can see the individual facets. It almost looked like a beaver chewed that off.
Yeah, it looks like an antler.
And then this guy is standing on top of it like he's keeping an eye on things. And I just painted him like he was wearing a pair of blue jeans. I forgot to take pictures from the back because you can't see the belt I carved into there. And then just carved it like you normally would, and then just played around with dark shades of either blue or a little bit of black in there, just to get the shadows in place. And then the one on the right was just a super simple carving of a wood spirit, but I did that using my new Ryobi electric handheld power carving chisel.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was me playing around with the various different bits and things like that, just following a similar pattern as if I had done it with my knife, but I did it with a power carving tool, and then I painted it after oiling, put on a thin wash of black, rubbed it off, and then put a finish coat on it of that Howard's stuff. And then I just took these two outside and put them by tree stumps and took the pictures.
They both turned out great.
Oh, thanks. I was impressed by how smoothly that little Ryobi thing worked.
Yeah.
And I'm just learning how to play with it, but it's going to take a lot of the drudge, I suppose, out of taking wood down. And it actually works pretty well, as you can see, getting the detail in there. Then you can just come in and reinforce it with a thinner palm chisel of some sort.
Yeah, those are this is the reciprocating carving tool you're talking about, and they're particularly good when you're using harder wood too. It's really nice. That's great. Thank you, Scott. Comments?
Scott, oh, no, sorry. Scott,
Comments?
yeah, like I love the wood spirit. I've probably done about 65 of them or more. Every time I find old red cedar or cedar or whatever, we walked around the house. I think I had 65 outside my house, which my partner thinks I really have to start getting rid of some stuff. But I love doing different expressions because the like you say with the power tools and things like that and the hardwood, when you finish them and put a neat finish on them. But yeah, I love just doing different expressions on the faces because the wood has a knot or has so on and so forth. But yeah, the wood spirits, you know, a lot of fun with them.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start decorating some of the upright fence posts on my fence in the backyard. And that will be my legacy when whoever buys the house, unless they replace the fence, it's going to be there.
Nice. You'll scare all the birds away, of course, Scott, but that's okay.
Did you verify that before you antiqued it?
Sorry, no, I didn't verify. I used the what is it, that
Howard
Terranova oil
Oh,
And then I just put a wash of acrylic over top of it to get the definition on the grooves and the hair and the branches and leaves like that up in the hair. And then once it was all done to my satisfaction, getting the shading around the eyes and that sort of stuff, I just used that Howard's.
Feed and wax, yeah.
Yeah, the feed and wax.
Mm-hmm.
I like
I
using that.
usually
It's got a really nice scent to it.
Yeah, it does.
I use like an 8-year exterior wood spirit, where you do decks and fences and everything else. That's usually what I finish my wood spirits in, because then it kind of need it. It goes to the into the dark part, but it also protects it for like 8 to 12 years. So that's what for mostly what I do my wood spirits and things like that. I use a cedar tone exterior stain.
Ah, okay. Well, that's good to know. I was thinking I'd have to put some sort of a matte finish varathane on it of some sort just to try and preserve it.
Yeah, I worry about it peeling when I use varathane, so that's why I use the exterior stains in it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Larry sent us in a couple of nice pictures here. And Larry's fairly new to the group, but he sent in baseball player and sailor. Really good job on both of them. And Larry would tell you that he's new to carving, but I wouldn't say so from the nice job he's done of the faces in particular on these two. So a couple of really nice carvings there. And Bob, you sent in this little fella.
Yeah, this is just a gentleman taking some flowers to his wife for Mother's Day. But anyway, I had never done flowers before, so I tried it out, and it turned out all right. And then I antiqued it, but I never I let it dry, but I didn't put any coat on after I painted before I antiqued it. But it turned out pretty good.
Turned out really well, yeah.
really nice.
Yeah. I like the base, all the work you did on the base there too, Bob.
Yeah, it made it a sort of a rocky base. Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice. Any comments or questions for Bob? Okay, thanks everybody. That's really well done. So I segmented other pictures that you guys sent in to put all the TNCC challenge pictures together. So I'm going to go through a few of those, and we'll get you to just say a few quick words on these ones. Bob, you started us off with this one. I think last time you had carved this one and submitted it.
Yeah, it was just a little thing we did at one of our clutches there, and there was a pointed fish, and then this one. So I did this one. It turned out pretty good. I was happy with it.
I think it turned out really well. It got us really interested in fish carving, so nice job. Jacques, you sent in the pencil.
Yes, an interesting challenge. I thought it would be very easy to do, but realized carving flat surfaces was a challenge. And I was thinking
Great job.
I should have gone to the table saw and just rip it.
You did a nice job.
Very good.
Thank you.
Scott, you sent in your finished little gnome or hoodie guy here.
Yeah, I finally got while I was doing all of the painting on the other stuff, I finished the logo on this guy. When I was originally shown for the challenge, the logo was just all this dark green color. And I looked up on the Saskatchewan Rough Rider website, and apparently they're changing their logo, or this is one of the additions or possible new iterations of their logo. And it was a lot easier to paint this than any of the other ones. So this is the one that I chose. And we're heading out west in another week and a half. And we're going to stop at my brother-in-law's. And he's a big Riders fan. So this is going to be a gift for him.
Gonna stay behind. You did a nice job on that.
Thank you.
I gotta say, I love the Crocs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was just one of those last minute inspirations where I was looking at it saying, what in heaven's name can I do with these ugly looking feet? and it just suddenly came to me that they, with the big toes on them, and then the way I'd done the heels around the back, that those almost look like Crocs.
Yeah.
And so I went ahead and made them.
Turned out great. Larry, you had sent this in, but you weren't with us last time on the Zoom call. But again, fish characters that, again, just capture your interest, you know?
Yeah, I did a couple different fishes probably 5 or 6 years ago, probably now. The middle one is actually out of a piece of pine that was left over from a beaver carving I did, and it's like 2.5 inches deep. And it also has spacers behind it, so it hangs off the wall. So it looks like it all the way around, but it's not on the wall. It looks like it's floating.
Yeah.
And the other two, I loved sort of doing the painting and things on. But yeah, these are kind of a fun challenge because they're all kinds of different expressions and things and colors that you can put into these carvings. So I think it's a great idea.
Great. You
And,
sent in
and
this
this
one.
here was our follow-up from all of our different things that we've done with the True North Carvers, and from shoes to wrinkled elbows, and the brown one is my old work coat, and Mark was getting me to make something that looks real as opposed to just the odd notch in the elbow, which I did a carving years ago, and I think that's where I didn't get very well on. Because I did everything else was kind of cool, but the legs and the arms just had 1 or 2 notches in it. But then we did the circles, we did the pencils, we did the hands, we did the boots, we did the bat. So each time we do a carving tutorial, it's amazing how it enhances what you go to carve in your next carving, because it makes you think of the different things that what we've learned along the way, and the painting too, like the 2 different pencils. One I did my way and one I did the way Mark had said on the last Zoom call. And it's kind of neat, like how even painting them and finishing them after doing this for like 15 years or more, it's neat. You like learn not just the carving, but how we can finish things differently all the way along. So yeah, I thank you. This is a cool, just a
Good.
summary of the different things that we've learned and what I've learned along the way.
That's a nice shot.
Yeah, that's really neat.
Yeah, and John Paul, your 8-sided pencil challenge is really cool, but there's not 8 sides on a pencil. There's only 6. But it when I did that 6-sided thing, you see the different things. But I went into my shop, and it was like an adventure because everything is like crowbars are 6-sided, ratchets are 6-sided, handles and tools are 6-sided because it fits in your hand really good. But it was kind of cool adventure on the same thing. And but the other one was like making your lines and carving them to it.
Yeah.
So I had a really, really sharp knife finally from Mark. And it was almost like planing down to the lines on all 4 sides, or 6 sides or 8 sides.
Yeah.
But it was kind of a neat adventure for me because it really showed you have a sharp knife. It really made a difference also.
Yeah. Nice job.
Another shot of them here. Yeah. That's good, Larry. John Paul, here's your caricature.
Yeah, it's my caricature of a shark. Yeah, I just finished that the other day.
Nice job.
Yeah, thank you.
I like your nice little simple base here too with the starfish. That's smart.
Yeah, just something simple. He's gonna be on the wall when we're done this.
Really cool. Wayne.
Yeah. A lot of fun it was.
That's a stubby little pencil.
It is. Oh yeah. You see the eraser's still fully intact, so I haven't made many mistakes with that one. Like Larry was saying, yeah, when I first looked at it, said, well, yeah, okay, it's a challenge. It is. Boy, is it a challenge. A lot more so when you get into it too. And even looking at the picture now, I could see where I didn't keep the lines too straight. But yeah, it keeps you thinking. It does for sure. Yep. A lot of fun.
Turned out well. I like the way you did the metal part on the eraser too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'd have done it as a actual pencil, I should have probably, after I got it completely finished, I should have took and chewed on it for 5 minutes. So.
That's right.
I like the way you even wrote in there HB2 in that. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite hardness of pencil.
That's a good pencil.
Yeah. There's my my interpretation of the funny fish, and Those are fun too. They're fun, and there's no end to the limit what you can come up with. Just your imagination is as far as it goes.
Yeah. Now on yours, you did do both sides. It's not flat on one side.
On this one here, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
Really
yeah,
smart.
I have done them with as Christmas ornaments or whatever, and where the top fin is there, probably put a little Santa hat there drooping down over, so you don't have to do that particular fin.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities.
Oh, really nice. Really nice. Thanks to everybody for taking advantage of these challenges and doing such a good job. Nice work. So as I was saying, John Paul and I are just we were just freaking out about these caricature fish, just laughing our heads off. So we thought this would be a good competition to put in front of everybody. And so here's the thought on it, and we'll modify the thought based on your feedback. But the notion would be we'll have a competition, just a friendly competition like we've had in the past. It'll be a caricature style fish, full of exaggeration and any features you want to add to the fish as a caricature style. You can do it in the round as Wayne just showed, or it can be flat-sided as Larry and Bob and others showed, or you can even do a relief if you want. And there'll be no float testing required, so it doesn't have to float. Just make the caricature of a fish and submit it to us. It can be painted, or you can leave it natural. It can have a base, or you can do it without a base. And so it's all up to you. And the thought would be we'll have a friendly competition, and a competition in the sense that John Paul and I will do the judging. So John has already done a fish. I'm going to do one myself, but they won't be submitted for the competition. We'll be the judges, and we will identify a first, second, and third, and honorable mention. And John Paul and I are going to go out and do some work to get some prizes for it as well. The notion would be we'll do this for our Zoom call on the 19th of June, which is 5 weeks from now. But if you could send in the photos to me by a week earlier, Monday, June 16th, that'll give John Paul and I a little bit of time to do the judging. Okay, so that'd be the notion on that. I'm going to stop share, see if this works, and I think it did. Okay, so that'd be the notion of a little competition. So your thoughts, how do you feel about that?
Great idea.
Be fun?
I see your shadow box is back there, Larry. You could probably do a nice shadow box fish.
There you go.
With a fish in there, would make it look like an aquarium.
Bring it on.
There you go. That's a cool idea.
So I'm going to do one for sure. I think they're hilarious, and so you can use this idea if you want. But my fish is going to be a holy mackerel.
Any size we want.
You can do any size you want.
Any resemblance of the new Pope is purely coincidental.
Yeah, that's right. He's not going to be named Leo. Yeah. But I think it'll be something to have fun with. Gives us a month. I think, those of you that did the caricature fish, it's probably not a real onerous carving that is going to take weeks to do. So I think a month is enough, and send them in, and we'll have some fun with that, and we'll have some prizes.
Yeah, a little step away from the regular caricatures, and just do something fun for a change, and put a smile on everybody's faces.
Yeah.
And is the eye thing also part of the challenge this month also?
You can do that anytime you want. Yeah.
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 Yeah, do an eye, and while you see it on the video, you can see how I paint it.
Yeah, right.
That's cool. I appreciate that.
Yeah, right on. Add to your collection.
Yeah.
Okay, any additional
Thank you
thoughts
very
before we sign off, guys and gals? Okay, if the only thing I'll leave with you, if you're interested in taking part in these online workshops, the painting and the carving of the little Christmas elf, just send me an email and I'll tell you the dates we're getting together for that, and more the merrier. Okay, thanks everybody. Sorry about the false start there. I don't know what happened, but we'll try to avoid that next time.